GOGI, GOGI. Learn GOGI tools, real lessons to live by.
All right, we're welcoming now Emiliano.
Hello, how you guys doing?
So awesome. How are you?
Oh man, running on sleep deprivation week 8, but moving forward and feeling good.
I love that. We're going to set you up so we have a as good of a visual image as possible. I know you looks like you're on your phone. Is there any way on the screen you can get that phone as close to your face as possible so that somebody sitting in an 8-foot cell or on a tablet might be able to see the whites of your eyes?
You want me to try to? I can try to log on to my laptop.
Well, I think it's
That'll
okay if you just, well, yeah, let's go ahead and see if laptop will work better.
let me see.
We just want somebody to see those pearly white teeth and the whites of your eyes.
Man, let's see. All right, well, I can move this closer.
Yeah, that's good. Now can you get your head to the top of the screen? So tilt your screen down. Yeah. See, that's going to work just fine.
Like this. All right, let me see if I can replicate this on the laptop. How have you guys been?
We've been rocking it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of videos lately by you guys.
Yeah, we're recording pretty much everything. So many of our students are getting out and our coaches are getting out and they're just sharing their story of how easy it is to live a life of service and live addiction free. And we want to get that news out because we worked very, very hard. We worked 22 years to build our reputation. Now it's time people know about us.
Okay, well, I agree with that.
You should. You've lived it.
Yeah, that's why when at the rehab I introduce it as often as ever can when I hold my groups to try to explain to people the simplicity of applying Gogi tools to their lives and staying well, not only just in the recovery aspect, but being productive,
Yeah.
being positive and advancing, moving forward in life. Not just oh, this is gonna help me for the day. No, this can help you change your life for the rest of your life if you just remember certain keywords and apply the ones, and always remember that the tools of choice are exactly that. You have to choose to think in the proper direction. You have to choose to talk about the proper direction. You have to choose to move in the proper direction.
Well, Emiliano, somebody sitting in an 8-foot cell is saying, yeah, he doesn't know my situation. He was always happy. He's not like me. He can't relate to me. You're talking all this stuff about how it's easy to be positive. I have a feeling your life wasn't always as productive and positive as it is now. Can you kind of give us a little bit of history and actually how did you get to be the man you are now?
Well, as you heard by Coach Johnny reply, um, I was not always a positive individual. And if you're sitting in the cell and you're wondering how I got here, I spent 20 years in the shoe. I was in Pelican Bay all day, every day in the cell. And the things that enabled me to change was thinking right, realizing that at some point, without knowing the terminology, I was the boss of my brain. I had to choose the way I wanted to be. I had to set the lines that I wouldn't cross. And unknowingly, I was practicing Gogi. So fast forward a few years later in 2016, and I came across Gogi an opportunity, and I was also provided an opportunity to facilitate Gogi in English and in Spanish. I'm like, this is exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, where were you at that time when you run? Talk to me about how did you run across Gogi? Because a lot of people they'll find a book in the trash or on in a day room or a library or somebody will hand it to them. How did you actually run across some of the Gogi material?
Well, as I was just talking about in my MC3 training with ARC with Scott Bugman, he remembered the time when he and I first crossed paths in 2016. I was in Corcoran, and I was fortunate to talk to a captain, and he said, "Hey, we're going to provide programs here. You're not going to just be in your cell. We're going to get programmed." And CC2 Bulgarian, him, Bailey, and Phelps, they had been introduced to Gogi, and they provided to the class, and you were interacting with them, and you were making plans to be there at our first graduation, because it would be the first graduation at Corcoran. We were Corcoran GOGI Group 1. So I felt good. So I had to set the tone like, hey, we're the first ones here to get this opportunity. And I just jumped on it in English, Spanish, every day, because the simplicity of it, and that I had already felt a kinship with it. I'm the boss of my brain. If I want to talk positive, be positive, and act positive, then I have to do that. I didn't have the terms, hey, these are the tools of choice. I didn't have the key words or the 3 Ps. If it isn't powerful, productive, or positive, and it's not really for me. And once I across this, and I was like, yeah, this just related to me so easily. So it was easily for me to just dive on all the way in, full hearted, Gogi for life. I made poems, and you like the poems, you put it in part of the publication. So that made me feel like I was part of something. And then knowing that every time I was studying the Gogi tool, other people in other places were studying Gogi too. Because I've been in a cell, feeling alone, isolated with your thoughts, trying to find a way. Because another problem I had, I was wrongfully convicted. So it was like driving my anger, but I didn't really know how to control the anger in the way that I learned to control it once I realized, hey, I can choose to think differently. I was trying to do things, but I was still taking those unnecessary negative risks, responding in a way that I'm not really proud of. But now, after learning all the Gogi tools, memorizing them, I'm like, hey, claim responsibility. Help me realize that, hey, if I'm not proud of this choice, I'm not proud of the people I'm hanging out with, then I have to choose to be proud of the things that I choose to be part of, that I choose to give my energy to. So, I mean, Gogi can change your life if you allow it to change your life. If you choose to be adamant to be against that, it can't fix me, then it won't fix you. But just by being the boss of your brain, realizing if I use the smart part of my brain, I might not be as smart as Einstein or as a rocket scientist, an astrophysicist, but if I use the smart part of my brain, I can't help but eventually make more and more smart choices.
Let me ask Coach Johnny. Coach Johnny, you've known Emiliano for a while. You've known him from his letters that he writes to the mailroom, then upon his release, and then being part of programming that you were actually involved in. Talk to me a little bit about how you saw him integrate back into society and maybe the struggles in making that adjustment. I mean, being locked in SHU a long time and then being in a level 4 or high level security prison, finally getting out. Talk to me about what you witnessed in the evolution of his transition from prisoner to now facilitator and leader, community leader, and spokesperson.
Yeah, so I have the honor and the privilege of getting to know people before I even meet them. I've worked in the mailroom for 6 years since I paroled a week out. And I got to meet Emiliano through his writing, through his completions, through his engagement with Gogi. He would do things that weren't even asked of him. And he would submit a poem, or he would, submit different, things that he was working on. And his, some people I experience as just giving short answers, but Emiliano was always fluid. He was always clear. He was concise, and he was super involved. When he got out, I was actually in Oakland through Crop, and me and him talked, and he said that was something he was interested in. So I got to work with him through that. He came and volunteered at the mailroom. He just goes above and beyond. He probably has 6 jobs right now. He's studying he's with Crop. He's one of the best students we have, super engaged. He's smart, he learns. I think it's an opportunity to know that, I'm sure Emiliano will agree with this, is that a lot of times people think, all I gotta do is get out of prison and everything's gonna be rainbows and unicorns. And they don't see some of the struggles that we may endure. But one thing that I really do commend Emiliano about is he's a great communicator. He asks questions, he asks for help, he engages other people. He's always been a service since I've met him, even when he was in prison. So I think understanding that building a foundation, a community of people to reach out to is super important. Doing something you love to do. He has, like I said, 3 or 4 jobs. He's great at what he does. He loves what he does. and he's committed. He probably sleeps maybe 3 hours a day, and then he's on the go. So I think when those struggles come up, he does reach out for help. He does ask for help. He is being of service, and he's just in a place where he's open-minded. And I think that's really helpful because we expect to get out here and everything is just going to be great. And that hasn't always been the case for me, and I'm sure at times for him as well.
Emiliano, I have a question. With regard to the subject of addiction, did you suffer from addictions during your life? Were addictions something that you really had to address?
Well, for the drugs, I didn't have to address it that hard because I participated in drugs to find out what they were when I was younger. So I realized, hey, I don't want to do this. Like I made lines that, hey, I'm never gonna smoke marijuana by myself because then now I'm choosing to be high unnecessarily. So I didn't have to address it that way. But through CGA, I started learning that I was addicted to a negative lifestyle. I was fortunate enough to realize the importance of changing your mindset, and that addict voice was in me. I didn't think I was an addict, but here I am making negative, detrimental choices about my life. Like here I am proclaiming to be innocent, but yet I'm willing to recklessly throw my life away for a certain mindset that I had. And if I really, really wanted to change, I needed to really be the boss of my brain, not go into old habit of fighting, violence, etc. I was able to turn that. And now I share that when as an AOD counselor in my courses, I tell them the addict voice is always going to be there. But the most important thing is I tell them, as you know, I call the 5-second light switch, 5-second heartbeat. You know, I said, when we experience that emotional change, we have to avoid thinking emotionally, and we have to start thinking old thought, new action, old thought, new action. And I told them, you guys don't see that sometimes I have that old thought, but I've practiced just transforming and giving a new pathway. So when I have anger, it'll go this way. I go, we're not perfect. But the thing is, we don't react the way we used to act. We don't respond the way we used to respond because old thought, new action is a real, real key. And if you allow yourself to be the boss of your brain, it will keep you then. Like, that's one of my favorite things that I tell people. And then it's like, it's a reality check for me. Addiction, I didn't start off reacting well when I started to change. It was some volatile situations I was fortunate enough to avoid not shooting myself in the foot. And reality check enabled me to take note. It's like step 10 of the 12 steps program. Reality check is just that. You do a daily inventory, a moment to moment. And if you look at everything, instead of giving too much weight to your negative actions, your negative responses, reality check allows you to give credit to yourself for the good things you have done. It better enables you to measure your life experiences and your life actions. So that's how it helps me dealing with my addict voice. And it also, when I explained it in the several classes, because I don't always have the same clients in the same classes, that received the best response. You can see it in their eyes, like, oh yeah, I don't give myself enough credit for the good I've been doing. I only spiral out. And in reality check, it enabled me to think more efficiently. So I came up with a saying, the reality check is your sincerity is greater than your shame. We all feel shame for the things we've done. But if you're sincere about your efforts, and I tell them how a group of women over there that you met came up with these tools, and I tell them the stories of GOGI. And I'm still talking with my bosses about how if they were able to see what a group of inmate prisoners, bad people, as society labeled them, came up with this great thing called GOGI, it would help them with their self-esteem and help them understand that they're capable of being a service, and being a service helps you work on yourself as well.
You know, if I'm a guy or a woman sitting in an 8-foot cell and I'm hearing you, I'm not going to believe it's possible for me. But I think if you were their cellie and they saw you not all that long ago, they would feel inspired. I think you are so evolved and so present with being of service to your community that people just might not think that you struggled at getting to where you are. Can you talk to me about what was that change like? Because I could just imagine if I was a correctional officer looking in at your cell when you were Mr. Negative, king of all the negativity, I would say there's no hope for that guy,
Mm.
wouldn't I?
Man, that was one of my greatest things.
What?
When I was on the main line and I was filing my petition for advance to go back to board in 2021, there were several new officers in the building. And they had looked me up and they go, "Hey, Cross, I looked you up on your file and you're not this individual."
Mm.
He goes, "What made you change and how did you change?" And I explained to him, at some point in time, I had to realize either I'm going to be my past or I'm going to be my future. You can't see my future if I'm still being my past and my present. My exact wordings. And he was like, "I've never heard it that way." I go, "Listen, I was a bad person doing some bad things. It started off because my first 5 years in prison, I was angry at the world. I'm in prison. I ain't supposed to be in prison. And I didn't handle it well. So I was perceived that way. And I should have been perceived that way. You will never hear me complain about being in the hole because I deserved to be in the hole. I was acting out. But once they gave me my opportunity to program, after they seen me change, all I asked him was for the opportunity. So by the time he had met me, I had not perfected my change, but it was easier for me to maintain the change. He never saw there was times in the cell I had to go in the cell and leave the day room and be like, "Okay, figure this out. You're tripping. You're having an old thought. How can I do this now? How can..." He never saw that. He never saw me be more efficient and say, "Okay, if someone's on your phone time and they're going over, you give them the courtesy and they turn their back." The old you was like, "Oh, responding violence." No, what you have to say, who you're calling, is not that important to ruin your future. The only way you're going to be, I owed it to the future me, to the me I wanted to be that person and practice that person in the present. So that was how I dealt with the struggle.
I
And
love
like,
it. I think a lot of people can relate to that. What are you addicted to now?
man, I'm addicted to progress.
I
Like
love it.
when I was gone, I was like, even Coach Johnny tells me, "Hey, slow down, take care of yourself, take care of yourself, sometimes enjoy." And I'm just addicted to, hey, I can't make up the time I miss, but I can be the person I want to be seen. So when people see me, I tell them, break life down into little pieces. My credit is good. It's the lowest one now is 740. I'm almost at excellent credit. I take the time to think about my life in pieces. I break it down to pieces and little efforts. And Gogi enabled me to do that. I'm constantly taking a reality check. And I know
Mm.
the ultimate freedom is always up to me. If I look at my life and I talk with Coach Johnny about it, I'm really a success. I've been out over 2.5 years. I'm off parole. I'm about to file my 4900 penal code motion to be factual innocent, not just plausibly innocent. I still feel that rage is still there, but I deal with it better. And the
Mm.
only people that gets to see it are people that's close to me because I spend time with them. And I tell them, "Hey, if my emotion is wrong, don't worry about me being emotional because I want you to see it. Worry about me if I respond or act on it. Tell me about it and you will see I will calm down and I will check myself." So that's the thing I would tell everyone. We're not going to be perfect. I still have days where I'm like,
Mm.
but I'm addicted to making progress and showing people I like being associated with Gogi. Of all the associations I have, I like being associated with Gogi because I've thought about Gogi before I ever came across Gogi. And here I am. When I tell my clients, Gogi means getting out of this prison, this addictive mind that we put ourselves by going inside yourself. My job as an AOD counselor is to help you help yourself, not find answers for you. And that's what Gogi does. It gives you keywords to apply these tools to your life. So that's what I'm addicted to, just progress. I want to see all of us make progress.
What are your final thoughts, Coach Johnny? You've been coaching Emiliano through this reentry process. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I think we've been coaching each other. Man, we teach each other, we support each other. So final thoughts is just understanding like not too many people, especially nowadays, are ever going to serve 20 years in the shoe because of what he experienced and other men and women have experienced. That's no longer going to be a thing. And if you can see Emileanno and somebody who's transformed his life and was committed to getting out of prison, get out of prison after 20 years in the shoe. If he can do it, we can do it. If you're sitting there, whether you're in prison or you're in your own self-made prison, there's freedom to be had. And it starts with being the boss of your brain and participating in a community where you'll be supported and encouraged to do the positive thing. You'll never go to a GOGI meeting and someone's going to tell you go commit a crime or go get high or anything like that. In fact, it's just the opposite. You're going to have people who want the best for you, who are going to encourage you to do the best, who are going to push you, and going to just continue to support you in the life that you say that you want. And there's an unprecedented future waiting for you. It's yours for the taking and yours for the creation. So it's great to see you, Emiliano, and congratulations. He'll be graduating April 27th. So good job.
Yet another graduation, yet another certification. Emiliano, the addict of certifications and knowledge. I love it. Emiliano, what do you have to say to that one person who's watching this on a tablet or watching on YouTube? What is the one thing that you want that person to remember more than anything else?
And I don't think we shared, excuse me really quick, Emiliano, I don't think we shared, but this is going statewide. They're going to put all these videos on tablet, and they get to hear your amazing story and get some kind of inspiration, because there's going to be people who know you. And they're just be like, I remember the old Emiliano. And you're going to be such an amazing example to so many people.
So
my thing is this: if you think you can't do it, you can. Because no matter what you're talking about, I've been there. Labeled the worst of the worst. At one point in time, I was the worst. I was in LA County Jail when I had money and it was a problem. I was a problem. I was willing to waste my life. I devalued myself. I devalued others. I had no real sense of being productive in my community. And once I did that, I was able to stand and hold that line. There were just certain lines. Once you become a changed person, and my sincerity had to show. My sincerity enabled me to maintain my change. Once you begin to think change, allow yourself to change. Do not say, oh, well, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Because if I can do it, you can too. It's just a simple matter of saying, hey, I know better. It is time for me to show better. Am I proud of this choice? Will I own the day? Will the people who care about me most, the people I care about most, will they be happy I'm making this decision? Will they be happy I'm saying what I'm saying now? Will they be happy I'm doing what I'm doing now? My biggest complaint now is people tell me you need to rest. You need to rest. So if that is my biggest problem now, it can become your biggest problem. When you get out, you'll have a lot of catching up to do. Don't try to catch up all at once. Break life down to little pieces. As Coach Johnny once said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you have to live your life one day at a time. Trust that your GOGI tools of being the boss of your brain. Don't allow what other people are talking about, their perceptions, because now you're not thinking about being the boss of your brain. You're not being smart. You're thinking old habits. You're being emotional. Don't react that way. Choose your reality. Better measure what you're doing. 10 steps forward, 2 steps back, you're still 8 steps ahead. So you can get out of prison always 8 steps ahead if you just measure your mind of being yourself and understand ultimate freedom is up to you. Being free is up to me.
Oh, I couldn't say it better. I don't think anybody could say it better. I think that's a beautiful message to end our time with. I wanted to say thank you so much for the inspiration you offer every day through your example, through your willingness to be of service, and through the example you're setting for people who are watching this video. I'm just so proud of you and so grateful.
Thank you. I'm just glad to be part of GOGI.
GOGI for life, of course.
GOGI for life.
Bye, guys.
GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I.